Fast, fresh fare. The Nightbeat team. See for yourself next.
How do you feel, Dr. Kevorkian? How you feeling today?
Tonight, Jack Kevorkian taken from his cell to a hospital after having heart problems on day 13 of his hunger strike. The latest line. Tonight, one teen hospitalized, another in jail after a shooting outside a packed mall. Tonight, after life-saving surgery, baby Hope comes home.
Seems like it's taken years to get here, but yet here we are.
This is the Nightbeat with Dan Mountain and Asha Blake. Brett McLeod with sports and Paul Long with the big picture weather.
Good evening. The big story tonight on day 13 of suicide Dr. Jack Kevorkian's jailhouse hunger strike. Kevorkian complains of chest pains and is rushed to the hospital. The Nightbeat's Kevin Dietz joins us live from Pontiac General with the latest. Kevin, fill us in.
Dan, Dr. Jack Kevorkian is here at the hospital. It appears he is going to be just fine. While his heart may have skipped a beat, he definitely did not have a heart attack. You know, Kevorkian was a pathologist at this very hospital 20 to 30 years ago. Today he came back not as a doctor, but as a patient.
Dr. Jack Kevorkian was wheeled out of the Oakland County Jail, strong enough to stand up on his own, but complaining of chest pains. After a 45-minute examination at the jail, Dr. Stanley Levy reported Kevorkian has heartbeat abnormalities and may have suffered a slight heart attack.
We were able to do an EKG here, and the EKG was suggestive, or they cannot rule out, and I can't rule it out, of him having had an anterior myocardial infarction.
What is that?
Which is what?
Is
that what we call a heart attack? That's what you might call a heart attack.
Kevorkian, who is in jail for his part in a doctor-assisted suicide, is in the 13th day of a hunger strike. He told attorney Jeffrey Feiger he'll agree to be hospitalized, but he will not be fed.
What he said was, should I go along with what they were saying? And I said, absolutely. I mean, I place my trust in Dr. Levy. I have an implicit trust, and I am positive that he will make sure that I'm advised, and so I can advise Kevorkian.
Kevorkian was whisked to Pontiac General Hospital in a squad car. He walked into the building on his own power, but would not answer questions. After another exam, hospital physician Ellie Bass said Kevorkian's heart may have skipped a beat Saturday morning, but this is no heart attack.
And what that jolt means, it's hard to say. Whether it was a bad dream or a skipped beat, as he thought it was, it's hard to say.
But in your mind, not a heart attack?
In my mind, at this point, we have no evidence for any heart attack.
Kevorkian was hooked to tubes temporarily that shot fluid into his body, but doctors say it does not violate his hunger strike.
The test Kevorkian went through tonight did show some slight abnormalities. The doctors say nothing serious, but enough to keep him here at the hospital overnight. They say tomorrow Kevorkian will see a cardiologist, and it is likely he will be back in his jail cell by mid-afternoon. Dan?
Kevin, over the last 13 days or so, Kevorkian has not been terribly cooperative with authorities. Did he cooperate today in terms of deciding to go to the hospital?
Actually, he did. Once he felt that slight pain in his chest, he decided to call in the doctors and see what they thought. They said it would be best for him to come to the hospital and get it checked out. He came here voluntarily. He was not forced to come here by jail administration.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Kevin Dietz reporting from Pontiac. No word on whether Kevorkian's hospitalization will affect his court schedule. Tomorrow is slated to be a busy day for the doctor and his attorneys. At 9 a.m., the preliminary examination in Marion Frederick's assisted suicide case is slated to continue. Then at 10 a.m., a hearing over the constitutionality of the state's assisted suicide law will then take place. Look to News 4 for the latest developments in the Kevorkian case. We'll update his condition throughout the night and have the outcome of those two hearings on the Newsbeat tomorrow at noon. A breaking story into the Nightbeat newsroom. A 29-year-old Dearborn Heights police officer killed in a car accident at the intersection of Inkster and Warren in Dearborn Heights tonight. Details are still sketchy, but it appears that the officer, a 7-year veteran, was off duty at the time and not in a patrol car when he died. We have a crew on the way to the scene, and we'll update you with the latest as soon as it becomes available. It started out as a fist fight and ended up with shots fired outside Eastland Mall this afternoon. 6 teens got into a fight in the west parking lot, one of them firing shots at a van, injuring a young man in the leg. Mall officials, however, are downplaying the incident, saying holiday shoppers are safe.
We have taken very strict rules with all the youths, making sure that they break up and stay in groups less than 4. And we've really had a very nice crowd. We have had no incidents until this came up.
Police have 5 suspects in custody. The victim is in serious condition at St. John's Hospital. Redford Township Police are on the scene tonight of a shooting that took a man's life. They were called to the house on the 11,400 block of Inkster at 3 this afternoon. The unidentified victim died of a gunshot wound to the head. The former boyfriend of an 18-year-old Novi High School student is being questioned by police in connection with her murder. The body of 16-year-old Rochelle Abrahimi was found yesterday near the railroad tracks on Detroit's west side. Her mother believes she was being stalked by her attacker, which investigators say may have been a case of fatal attraction. We have a homecoming to tell you about tonight involving a newborn baby, medical science, and a miracle. Baby Hope wasn't even born yet when doctors performed experimental surgery inside her mother's womb. Hope, born 2 months ago, came home this weekend. Bob Bennett has the baby pictures.
At first glance, you notice how tiny and fragile she appears to be. But Hope Darian, 1 month and 2 days old, is healthy and is being showered with affection. Hope is considered a miracle baby. The sign went up a couple of days ago, just before the Darians brought their infant home. They say it will probably stay up for a long, long time, because this is truly the home that Hope built.
I think we've lost all concept of time at this point. It seems like it's taken years to get here, but yet here we are. And here she is.
Hope was removed from her mother's womb and underwent an operation to correct a defect in her intestinal organs. Then she was returned to the womb and was born a healthy child. This was a rare operation performed in San Francisco. The Darians have 2 other children, 6-year-old Heather and 5-year-old Joseph.
They're already showing signs of being overprotective.
They've gone through an awful lot themselves, too, being apart from Mom and Dad through the surgery and, all of that.
The Darians quit their jobs as accountants to be in San Francisco when Hope underwent surgery. Their expenses are rising.
Well, we were part of a research study because the surgery is so experimental. We're part of a study, and the fund that they have set up through the hospital, research grant actually, paid for much of the surgery itself. But her care in Detroit, her birth, and her care at Children's Hospital has mounted.
Hope still has to undergo another operation, but the prognosis is good. The Darians say they will appear on several syndicated talk shows and then will go about the task of raising their children. Bob Bennett on the Nightbeat.
And if you would like to send donations to help baby Hope and her family cover their medical bills, contact the Easter Seal Society of Southeastern Michigan. Their address is Post Office Box 5821. That's in Troy, Michigan. The zip code 48007-5821. Detroit police are on the case after a rash of carjackings this weekend. 6 motorists lost their cars to gun-toting thieves. In one case, 30-year-old Stephen Cobb was shot in the arm when he resisted his attackers. Another victim has died from last week's railroad shooting in Long Island. 27-year-old Amy Federici died today from her wounds. She never regained consciousness after being shot by Colin Ferguson. The violent rampage left 23 people wounded and now 6 people dead. Her family today donated her heart, lungs, kidneys, and liver for transplants. Missouri police continue to search for the killer of 2 young girls tonight while friends and family gather to remember one of the young victims. Today's memorial service was held for 10-year-old Cassidy Center. Her body was found Thursday. She and her friend were the subject of a massive search in Missouri after the pair disappeared 2 weeks ago. Well, up next, former Vice President Dan Quayle is starting to sound a lot like a candidate again. And in Russia, the first struggling steps of a new democracy, the outcome of their free elections, next on the Nightbeat.
I'm Paul Long, your Weather Watch. For a lot of people wondering where winter is, we got the cold temperatures. Where's the snow? Well, precipitation is on the way. Will it be liquid or frozen? Details just ahead.
And a little later, Hanukkah in the heavens aboard Space Shuttle Endeavour. Those stories coming up on the Nightbeat.
The Men's Warehouse is a fine men's specialty store. And when you walk into a Men's Warehouse, you're immediately surprised at how nice the store really looks. And we go out of our way to make it a pleasant experience. We are not a place where you can buy a cheap suit cheap. We are a place where you can buy quality designer clothing at a 20 to 30% discount. I guarantee it.
The Men's Warehouse. Call 1-800-776-SUIT.
In 1930, Northwest installed air-to-ground radio communications. And with a little altitude, we could darn near hear Chicago from Minneapolis.
Is everybody on the line, Bill?
Yes, John, we're all here.
I'll fax it to you.
These days, people can make a phone call without getting out of their seat.
Hi, Mom.
Some people call home just to say hi from 35,000 feet.
Guess where I am?
Some people just know how to fly.
It's your last call to save big on Dodge Shadows because the $1,000 cash back ends soon. It's also your last call to get $500 cash back on Dodge Caravan, meaning you can own America's best-selling minivan with the family value package for under $15,300. Get an additional $200 cash back if you're a current Caravan owner. Yes, this is your last call to save on our Dodge Shadows and Caravans. See your nearest southeastern Michigan Dodge dealer today.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
I intend to prove that Mr. Kringle is Santa Claus.
And he's turning it upside down.
Oh, you don't believe that, do you?
A timeless holiday classic for the whole family.
Oh, yes.
Maureen O'Hara and John Payne, Natalie Wood, and the lovable Edmund Gwynn star in Miracle on 34th Street.
Very Merry Christmas to you. Thank you, Mr. Kringle.
A WDIV special movie presentation, Sunday, December 19th at 7 on Channel 4.
Our look at the world beat begins tonight in Russia. President Boris Yeltsin is enjoying a cautious victory tonight with the approval of his new constitution and election of a new federal assembly. But the Russian reformers are concerned at the strong showing of both communist and extreme nationalists. Yeltsin is worried that those two forces could create a legislative logjam. The Russian election set the stage for a special homecoming. Cellist Mstislav Rostropovich had been denied Russian citizenship during the Brezhnev era. He lived in exile in Paris and supported the Russian democracy movement. Saying he would not remain an outcast, this weekend Rostropovich returned to his native soil to cast his vote in the parliamentary elections. The first phase of the Palestinian-Israeli peace accords is on hold tonight after Israeli and PLO leaders were unable to work out their differences. Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and PLO leader Yasser Arafat met today in Egypt. Israeli troops were supposed to withdraw from the Gaza Strip and Jericho starting tomorrow. They'll remain in place until the two sides meet again in 10 days. The delay in implementing the agreement is not cause for alarm, according to Abba Eban. The former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. and the United Nations was in Detroit tonight. Mr. Eban told the audience that the peace process may not meet all its starting dates, that when it concludes is what really is important.
What is important is not, however, whether it begins on the 13th of December, but whether it ends on that day in April, where it is supposed to end, and I'm certain that is going to happen.
President and Mrs. Clinton were in the holiday spirit today. The first family left church this morning in the nation's capital and attended the taping of an NBC special to deliver his holiday message to the nation. The president has a busy week ahead of him and is expected to contact European leaders to work out details of the GATT trade talks. Former Vice President Dan Quayle was looking a lot like a candidate when he visited a North Carolina church today. Quayle's visit to Charlotte's Northside Baptist Church featured talk of the need to return to family values. Northside has a long-standing tradition of inviting prominent guests to speak during the holidays. Coming up, the crew aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour packing up and getting ready to come home, but not before a little celebration in space. But first, in sports, the Lions catch lightning in a bottle. Fred McLeod has sports next.
The front-wheel drive Cadillac Eldorado with the North Star system. The rear-wheel drive Lincoln Mark 8. The Zamboni. We're in Joe Louis Arena to prove a point about rough weather driving. Under icy conditions, the Eldorado with standard traction control outperformed the Mark 8, even equipped with optional traction assist. And with Cadillac Smart Lease, Next to the Zamboni, the El Dorado is just about the best thing on ice. See your Metropolitan Detroit Cadillac dealer today.
Before, after. Before, after. Before, after. How do you get from before to after? Simple. Apple Desktop Publishing. It makes everything you do look better than before.
We started 67 years ago with the notion of bringing people closer together by delivering their mail a little faster. Then one day it dawned on us, why not just bring the people together? And today with our global partner, KLM, we do that in 380 cities in 81 countries on 6 continents. And you know, you get to see some really nice moments in this business.
Some people just know how to fly.
Christmas got you a little jittery? Then light up your holidays early at the new holiday sale and clearance from Hudson's. It starts Monday.
I can't drive this, which is why I don't drive most minivans. Except for one, Mercury Villager. It's different. It drives just like a car.
Mercury Villager offers versatile 7-passenger seating, front-wheel drive, standard 4-wheel anti-lock brakes, and meets all government safety standards for passenger cars.
Maybe that's why it's outselling every import competitor. Mercury Villager. Now you don't have to drive a truck to drive a minivan. At your Lincoln Mercury dealer now.
Nightbeat Sports is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury and the complete line of Mercury automobiles.
Hey, what do you know? Just when you're about to give up on the Lions, they go out and win a game. They look pretty decent today.
You knew they'd win today.
Because of the shakeup, or
no?
Who knew? I didn't know.
We were all guessing. The Lions apparently put a week of turmoil behind them. They went into Phoenix, beat the Cardinals 21-14. The win, thus ending that 3-game losing skid, keeping the Lions tied atop the NFC Central. Eric Kramer was amazingly sharp for a guy starting his first game at QB this season. He had Rodney Holman with a 28-yarder in the third to tie the game at 14. Kramer also connected with Herman Moore in the first half. The Lions took the lead early in the fourth. Kramer hooking up with his favorite target 2 years ago, Willie Green, 43 yards, 21-14. Eric, 19 of 25, 257 yards, 3 scores. Phoenix would have tied the game with 2 minutes to go, but on fourth down, the goal line stand, Steve Berline picked off by Ryan McNeil. Then with the Lions trying to run out the clock deep in their own territory, Derek Moore iced the game on third down. He busted this one for 35 of his 107 yards. He carried it 20 times today. The 7-point win has Wayne Fonts resting a little easier.
I told the team last night and gave them the Wayne Fonts Gettysburg address, whatever, but I told them how important this game was on the road and all the things we've gone through.
You look at what happened during the game, the defense caused a lot of turnovers, special teams blocked a field goal, so it wasn't just offense.
Doesn't get any easier, of course, for the Lions because San Francisco, losers yesterday, coming to town next Sunday. Elsewhere around the NFL, Chicago loses a share of the Central. They're stung at Tampa Bay by 3. Final just in, though. Green Bay has beaten San Diego by 7. We'll have highlights of that on Sports Final, so they share the top spot with the Lions. Dallas over Minnesota 37-20. They stopped the bleeding. Buffalo scored a late touchdown and a field goal to nip Philadelphia. What a pitcher's duel. Excitement all over the place at Foxborough. 7-2 the Patriots over the Bengals. Giants beat the Colts 20-6. They have the best mark in the NFC. Meanwhile, the Rams over the New Orleans Saints by a field goal. Great day for Detroiter Jerome Bettis in that one. Houston has won 8 in a row. They beat Cleveland by 2. Denver 6 points better than Kansas City as Elway beats Montana. And Seattle a 4-point loser over the Raiders. All right, college basketball. Michigan State has won for the 5th time this early season. They beat Perry Watson, U of D Mercy 74-63 in the final. Now, Michael Jackson had a thriller of the game for the Titans. He kept them in it with 6 3-pointers. Jackson tied his career high with 26. MSU had a little too much firepower for U of D. Sean Westbrook led him with 29 points, 11 boards. Spartans have now beaten the Titans 10 straight times. One baseball note to tell you about. The Orioles have signed free agent first baseman Rafael Palmeiro. 5-year deal worth $30 million. And they'll probably put a few extra presents under the tree in the Palmeiro household.
The whole neighborhood at those prices.
I can imagine.
Thanks, Fred.
Okay.
Well, in just over an hour from now, a history-making shuttle mission comes to an end. Fresh from their outer space repair job, the crew of Endeavour will glide back to Earth at the Kennedy Space Center. Touchdown set for 12:26 if you're staying up. Today, the crew celebrated Hanukkah, complete with menorah and dreidel. Of course, they couldn't actually light the menorah up there in space, but last week the astronauts completed $600 million worth of repairs on the Hubble telescope. It will be a few weeks yet before they can tell if the Hubble is indeed back in business. Straight ahead, they look tough on the outside, but they're really a bunch of softies. The inside scoop on these big biker guys coming up. But first, Paul takes us flying with a big picture next on the Nightbeat.
Yeah, I'll marry you.
Wonderful! I'm calling everybody in France. Only, I'm on AT&T. I pay the highest first minute and additional minute rates, 7 a.m., 1 p.m. 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. is a little better. I have to wait until after 6 for the real discount.
Why wait? MCI has a new way you can call anytime. Now we give you low fixed rates 24 hours a day, plus the lowest priced international calls to any 2 numbers.
You know, since I've had all this time to think.
For the easiest way to save on international calls, join friends around the world anytime.
Today, viewers have a lot of choices when it comes to TV news, and sometimes it's difficult to know just which news team is the right choice.
Newsbeat, picked Best Newscast at 5 by both the Michigan Association of Broadcasters and the Associated Press.
Interest rates are heading back up.
Let's face it, tabloid journalism is everywhere these days. How can you be sure you're being told the truth or that somebody has actually checked the facts? But there is one news team you can be certain is going to bring you the straight facts, and that's the Newsbeat team.
Only Channel 4 gives you the biggest story of the day, the complete story. The big story always comes first.
We are committed to our viewers' best interest, and to us that means fairness in journalism. We're a news team, but we feel like family. Oh, hi, sir.
Newsbeat, with 24-hour news around the clock.
I know these people. I trust them, and so can you.
Mort Grimm and the Newsbeat team, the right choice, only on Channel 4.
I can't drive this, which is why I don't drive most minivans. Except for one, Mercury Villager. It's different. It drives just like a car.
Mercury Villager offers versatile 7-passenger seating, front-wheel drive, standard 4-wheel anti-lock brakes, and meets all government safety standards for passenger cars.
Maybe that's why it's outselling every import competitor. Mercury Villager. Now you don't have to drive a truck to drive a minivan. At your Lincoln Mercury dealer now.
Nightbeat weather is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury and the complete line of Mercury automobiles.
The first big snowfall of the season suits the people of Northern California just fine. Skiers were out in force at a number of ski resorts in the Sierras. A solid base and good conditions may be short-lived. Forecasters not expecting much more measurable snow through the week.
Of course, up there, measurable snow is in feet.
Yeah, it is relative, isn't it? Any of that en route to us this week?
Yes.
This week, really?
But in liquid form.
Oh, okay. Doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count. Doesn't look like we'll be setting any good bases around here for any kind of skiing. Here are the numbers on the day, especially with the milder temperatures. Quite an improvement over yesterday temperature-wise. 38 degrees for the high. It was cold this morning, down to 17. And, of course, we did have a lot of sunshine outside. Right now, partly cloudy skies, 29 degrees, relative humidity at 78%. Barometric pressure right now is 30, 12, and rising, and the winds are out of the south at 13, so it does feel like 11 degrees. But with that southerly wind, warmer air is starting to move into this direction. In fact, whoa, that's kind of nice. 35 degrees. Look at this warmer air. 37 in Chicago, 35 in Grand Rapids, 40 at Traverse City, 36 in Marquette. In the Sioux, they're asleep, so warmer air is moving in here. I wouldn't be surprised to see our temperatures oscillate back and forth a little bit, maybe even rise overnight. All right, on the big picture satellite, talking about storms on the Pacific Northwest. We're under another one off the Pacific coast, heading in for Oregon and Washington State, which has just been getting inundated with rain. And things get a little diffuse out here in the west, but you can see nice, pleasant conditions for us for much of the day. High pressure held off all of these clouds, and I think, in fact, that these clouds are going to be very slow to build in tomorrow. I think gradually through the day we will see an increase in these clouds. But you can see precipitation still well off to the west in Iowa and Missouri and Wisconsin. And, in fact, heavy thunderstorms, though, down in Texas, where they had some severe weather, especially down in the, down in the panhandle of Texas, where they had 60, 70 mile-an-hour winds from the thunderstorms and dime to pea-size hail. Here's how things look from coast to coast. little bit broader perspective, so you can see quite very unstable out here in the west. But the main thing is that a lot of the air that's going to be heading this way is going to be on the warm side, so therefore we're not expecting much in the way of liquid precipitation. All right, high pressure system got on the backside of us, gave us the warm stuff. Double barrel low pressure systems moving in this direction. Gulf of Mexico opening up moisture-wise. So by probably tomorrow night, we'll see some of the moisture start to move in. As I say, through the day, we'll start to see an increase in the clouds. And behind it, kind of cold out here in the central states. But again, for much of the week, see temperatures being above normal. So if I think we see any snowflakes, it's going to be mixed in with the rain maybe at night, the few days that we're expecting the precipitation. But you can see really mild temperatures across the country. 50s just to our southeast. In fact, there is the slight possibility that we could see 50 degrees in the city tomorrow. Quite colder out to the west, but I think this cold air is going to be going back where it's grown in Canada and where it belongs. Not in Windsor, but our friends in Saskatoon. I haven't heard from them yet this year. Partly cloudy for tonight, though. Low 27 degrees, 29 degrees. The temperatures will probably be rising very slowly through the nighttime hours with that southerly wind. Then for tomorrow, partly sunny skies, which means more clouds than sun, but still a good bit of sunshine. And look at that, 48 degrees, maybe even 50. South to southeast wind at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And the extended forecast is shaping up like this. By Monday night into Tuesday, chance of rain 43 degrees, a little rain early on the day on Wednesday, and then clearing out 45. Thursday, nice day, 46. Friday, another system comes in here, 45 degrees.
I like it.
White Christmas, it's getting a little close here. But we've
got another week.
No, we've got plenty of time.
They say wait 5 minutes and it changes. A week, who knows what can happen? We'll find out.
He'll do this next week.
Thank you, Paul. You might not think it's the best weather for waterfront activity, but then again, you're not a polar bear. There were about 100 to 150 of the faithful who braved the chilly weather today at Windsor's Sandpoint Beach. When they go in, they come right out, don't they? This was not a frozen beach run for nothing. The cold weather swimmers all got pledges and raised money for a downtown Windsor mission. Well, they look pretty tough on the outside, but on the inside, a very different story with these guys. About 15,000 bikers revved up their engines for charity. The annual Christmas ride cruised down I-95 through Fort Lauderdale. And the money they raised will buy gifts for the Toys for Tots program to make sure lots of little bikers have a happy Christmas.
Born to ride.
Yep. That wraps up the Night Beat. Join Rich Make, Catherine Adams on Newsbeat today, beginning tomorrow at 6 a.m. Sports Final Edition is up next. Have a good night. So long.
Next on Sports Final Edition, the Lions battle back from the brink. You'll see and hear how they might have saved their season. The Piston losing streak ends as Don Chaney pleads for a win. Meanwhile, some young stars dish out some hurt for the Red Wings. This and a lot more are next.
Continuous improvement through constant innovation. It's how Cadillac is creating a higher standard with America's favorite luxury sedan, the 1994 Cadillac DeVille. Completely redesigned with more than 100 newly refined features, each created to keep the driving experience as rewarding as possible. And now DeVille's newest innovation, a $469 a month lease for 24 months with $2,200 down. See your Metro Detroit Cadillac Gold Key dealers.
You know, I run into people all the time that have never shopped at a Men's Warehouse store, and I say the same thing to everybody. Give us 1 minute. Just come into our store for 60 seconds, and you'll become a Men's Warehouse customer. I guarantee it.
When you can't breathe, it doesn't matter where you're from, or who you know, or even who you are. Please use Christmas seals this season and help fight lung disease. Because when you can't breathe, nothing else matters.
Christmas got you a little jittery? Then light up your holidays early and save up to 40% on all your shopping at the new holiday sale and clearance from Hudson's. Hudson's holiday sale starts Monday.
It's a special celebration of episode number 500 of The Montel Williams Show.
Don't miss it.
The Montel Williams Show, Monday at 4 on 4.